So,
Uh,
what's funny?
uh,
I think what's funny is that I'm just sitting
arts.
here on screen and the audience is wondering what the hell is going on.
Oh, are we live?
Oh, we just went live.
Oh, you tricked me.
Yeah, that's what I do.
Hey, and welcome to Gamers for Peace, an initiative of Veterans for Peace. We're a group of anti-war veterans and allies who are speaking out against military recruitment to kids in gaming and streaming. This is our Rocket League team practice, and as a team, we demonstrate good sportsmanship in online gameplay. We create inclusive gaming and streaming environments, and we have open discussions about the realities of military recruiting, service, and more. My name's Little Pistons. I'm the Gamers for Peace Rocket League coach and a Veterans for Peace ally. And with me today, we have Smedley Butler and Sincerely. And Highly Sensitive Unicorn. Um, Smedley, you want to take it away first? An intro?
Sure. So I am Smedley Butler was right, and I am a Marine Corps vet, Iraq War vet, um, and I just want to. We've done a few streams now without me doing a real explainer of what my name means, so I'm just going to take a second to say that Smedley Butler, the person that I've chosen to name myself after, was a Marine Corps general back in the early 20th century. And he was held up as basically as an ideal for everyone to strive for because he's one of the few people in history to get two medals of honor. Um, And after he got out of the Marine Corps, he became an anti war activist and he gave a very stirring speech that you can find probably at most any library. Called the book is called War is a Racket. It's very short. It's got that speech and a few other speeches that he gave. But basically, the speech that he's best known for is "War is a Racket" and talking about how he basically was just a muscle man for big corporations. And
How
that's it.
things never change, right?
Hmm.
Smedley Butler was
Yeah,
right.
thanks for
Yeah.
giving us the backstory on that. Let's see. Sin, do you want to introduce yourself since you're not, I mean, you're on tons of streams, but not usually on ours.
Hi, thank you, Lil Pistons. I'm sincerely the GFP community member, regular person, and team member of the FPS team, hosted by Coach Mash. Um, I'm a United States Marine Corps veteran, just like Smedley Butler, um, having served from 2004 to 2010 with tours of Iraq and Afghanistan. I was a civil affairs operator, which meant I ran around with a lot of money and interacted with the civilian population and all in all tried to um, understand what we were doing in these various places. Sorry, game distraction. Um, and I find myself here now as an organizer for Veterans for Peace, and really enjoy getting to participate in these things. Thanks for having me on tonight, the show tonight.
Yeah, thanks for filling in. Okay, and so for people who are new to, I don't know, this whole scene, what exactly is an organizer?
I'm still trying to figure that out myself. So really, so far I really try to if somebody has really good ideas in the community and wants to take the lead on something, I try to help them do do that. Really, like so, Little Pistons wanted to do the Rocket League show, and so help put out some feelers for people that may be interested, and um, you know help build a community and just make a welcoming space that's inclusive and equitable for the community that we're trying to build. And that's a place that is veteran and ally created, but community led and driven and built. So I just want to make sure, see whatever the community wants and people to hang out, play games, and talk about anti-war stuff, because that's kind of a shared passion of everybody in the community, is that we're here to talk about the issues and make the world a little bit better while playing games, and you know, and that's kind of what I figured out my job is, in just helping the community grow.
Awesome. Yeah, that makes sense from what I've seen going on since I've joined Gamers for Peace. And we have one more person chatting with us today, Highly Sensitive Unicorn.
Hey, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you.
So I'm Highly Sensitive Unicorn in online spaces. You can also call me Yo-Yo. I am typically on the Rocket League team and playing, but I'm unable to play tonight. I'm mobile, but I wanted to participate in the discussion because we're talking about Falcon and Winter Soldier, and I love, superheroes and comics and all of that jazz, and I'm really interested in the topic that we're talking about. I'm a veteran ally, and yeah, excited to be here but not be here.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. I know you had a lot of interesting points to bring up. And we are talking about the Disney Marvel series, The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. We're going to talk about episodes 3 and 4 tonight. Last week we talked about episodes 1 and 2. And just to kind of do a little catch up of where we are in the series, Falcon and Winter Soldier have decided, well, I should say Winter Soldier, Bucky Barnes, decided that they needed extra help from Zemo, who is the villain from the Winter Soldier movie, or no, wait, Civil War, sorry. Civil War movie. And they decided to get his help in finding where the additional super soldier serum is, so they can keep it out of the wrong hands, basically, and also track down the Flag Smashers. What else is going on? Did I miss anything for just like a brief recap?
Super Soldier Serum, Super Soldier Serum. Say it 10 times fast.
Right.
It sounds about right. I'm gonna let you know that episode 4 is gonna be spoiled for me, because I haven't watched it yet, because I was not prepared to be on show tonight. Though I am now prepared. I had last minute, but you're gonna spoil episode 4 is what I'm saying, and
I'm sorry.
I can't wish for a better group of people to spoil it for me, because I know I'm gonna get the facts here about what's going on. Maybe.
Well, some intense stuff happens at the end of episode 4, but sorry about that. So last time we talked a lot about symbols, and just kind of maybe like a little bit of an American obsession with symbols, like the American flag, and then in the series, of course, Captain America's shield and what does it mean and all of that, because there's a lot of fighting about the shield itself throughout the series. We didn't really get to talk much about race, which the series definitely talks about race, so I'm hoping we can get to some of that tonight. But a big theme starting off obviously in episode 3, where they're breaking this, I don't know, I guess war criminal would be a way to say it. I don't know, mass murderer. He blows up a building, Zemo, out of prison. Is, do the ends ever justify the means? Because this character murdered the king of Wakanda, King T'Chaka, and also framed the Winter Soldier for committing this murder. So this is like large scale stuff. Yet they're deciding to bust this guy out of prison. The other thing too is that, just catching people up, Winter Soldier, he had a lot of help from the Wakandans. He went to their country and was there for, I don't remember how long, but long enough time to be deprogrammed, and then also have his entire bionic arm rebuilt from vibranium, like the most rare metal on Earth. So, kind of reminded me a lot, and Smedley and I were talking about this, so Smedley, if you have anything to add. It reminded me of Operation Paperclip, which happened after World War II in the US, where they brought Nazi scientists and engineers to the US to work on American projects, basically, and work with American scientists. So, from, let's
That's
see.
a real project, or is that a Marvel Universe creation?
No, oh, no, this is real American history.
Oh,
um,
sorry I stole that gold from you. But that's real
oh, no.
American history.
Yes. Believe it or not. Yeah. So from 1945 to 1959, over that span of time, the US government brought 1,600 different German scientists. I guess it's unfair to say all of them were Nazis, but a lot of them were from the Nazi Party. Some were Nazi leaders, because they used the ends justify the means excuse of, we need this advantage over Soviets for the Cold War and the space race. So, some of the stuff that they were doing was basically a continuation of things that had been done in concentration camps, experimentation on humans. They were using a lot of that knowledge. And, they had Jewish scientists working alongside them, which I still can't kind of fathom that, but this idea of breaking Zemo out of prison, especially since it's Bucky Barnes' idea to do it, and he's the one that actually goes through with it, seemed pretty, I don't know what word am I looking for, like inconsiderate at the least, considering all the Wakandans had done for him. So I don't know. Smedley, do you have anything to add about Operation Paperclip, or anyone have anything they want to talk about? Like, do the ends ever justify the means?
Well, yeah, it's kind of a slap in the face, right? Like, um, what's her name? Arrow or Arrow? She when she comes to see
Oh,
Bucky, it's just like,
mhm.
really? Like, are you kidding me? Like, after all we did for you, right?
Yeah, and she's pretty generous. She gives him some time to work it out, but I don't blame her of being like, hey, take care of this, or we're going to take it into our own hands,
Yeah.
considering he murdered their king.
Yeah, I guess like, as a civilian, not a veteran, I just like I can't imagine how like taking war criminals in and then like helping and then using them to like help you justify or like to advance your agendas, like how that might seem to those allies, right? So like if I were these women, I'd be like, oh well, Bucky's no longer an ally because this is not something an ally would do in my mind, but
I it is 100% fucked, especially because there's no accountability. Like, Zemo is a rich baron. He's royalty. Um, like his family assets. After he's broken out of prison, he has his private jet. There's been no accountability. He's not held. Like, there's no sensitivity to the fact that he is a war criminal or that he's under punishment. There's zero repercussion for him at all in the after the breakout, or to demonstrate that he's gotten anything from the punitive form of justice that we have instead of restorative form of justice. And it just really is an absolute slap in the face to the entire premise of the Black Panther character and the that story arc in the greater Marvel universe, Marvel Cinematic Universe, MCU. So like, how is this setting up anything except for a second type of Civil War movie or anything? Because Wakanda and the outplay from all of that is Wakanda is part of the reason that we had the first Civil War movie. So why wouldn't they also continue that based off of these actions from the future Captain America and just American imperialism, colonialism being the standard?
Yeah, especially when, they had been basically isolationists up until that point, right? Hiding the true nature of their society. And it's like, it wouldn't really make me want to continue interacting with the rest of the world. That's an interesting point you bring up. What the heck happened there, Sin?
I thought I had a bad line on it. I thought you were gonna comment on it.
Oh,
I didn't realize how close
anyway.
you were to me.
I was like, whoa, traffic jam. You bring up an interesting point about Zemo's assets because, and I think it's in the first episode, right? We see Sam getting denied for the bank loan for his family's fishing boat.
Yeah.
Who is like an Avenger, a national treasure, a hero, whatever. Yet Zemo somehow can still hold on to his family's wealth and power and like has this jet with this butler just waiting for him to, I guess, get released from prison.
Yeah. Yeah, and that was something that I was hoping we could get to last week. Just because I was thinking, in terms of the real history of our country with African Americans being denied loans or being forced to take them at a higher interest rate than white Americans. And, I was thinking about, well, would this, what's his face? Hawkeye didn't disappear, but his wife did during the blip. So, like, say hypothetically, the two of them went to the bank to ask for a loan. Would the banker have said, "Oh, ma'am, I see that you haven't had any income for the last 5 years"? No, probably not. They probably would have gotten the loan. But that's what they said to Sam.
Yeah, I was sort of disappointed in that scene where it was sort of like I think Disney like missed the mark on like trying to like make that apparent in the episode and throughout the series. And that one article on IGN that I shared kind of goes into it too, and there's just like they don't really like do that justice right in the show because the banker is like, oh well, it's because of the blip, and then they don't really go too much further into the like race issue in the show, just like kind of hinted at it. And the article that I shared with you all on IGN is sort of like, oh, like look at Disney trying to like do the race thing, but like kind of tiptoe around it and not really a thing.
Yeah, for sure. Though at the same time, I think it is a good example of like how a bank could find a million different reasons probably to deny somebody and not come right out and say race.
Right.
Which is, how people are just continually gaslighted by the system into thinking like it's their fault as an individual instead of these systematic structural issues. So, oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, there's already evidence. You can look at the issues that we have with like algorithms and facial recognition technology and biometrics and all that stuff. We already know that the whether there's a human element in banking and financial practices or not, the programmers of the algorithms are the same people that determine loan rates and things like that for various people. And we already, study after study has already shown that having a black sounding name or indigenous or Latinx sounding name leads to lower or higher turn down rates for credit cards, it links to higher bill rates or fees, sign-up fees, setup fees for utilities, or denial of utilities, or requiring extra co-signers and things. There's study after study has already shown that, and the algorithms and the automation process that's we're going through right now that's being built is already reinforcing all of that. So I think that Disney actually, I think, goes out of its way to make it so that there isn't a stronger natural argument against what's going on. Like they go out of their way to not actually say what they're trying to allude to. That was an intentional, direct, writing decision to leave it up to speculation and take a neutral opinion and be like, well, you can't hold this banker responsible. It's just kind of the way it is. And post blip, you would have denied her before the blip for the same exact reason. So, I think that's a really poor directorial and writing decision in the current climate of the United States to barely pay lip service to the realities and inequalities in our system.
Yeah, you kind of have to be pretty straightforward and direct with it for people to, I don't know, not brush it off, I guess.
There was another article I shared with you all that there was one writer, I don't know, some white bro, I'm gonna call him, because he was very angry with he felt that this series overdid the race thing. Like they were just laying it on too thick. And from my perspective, as I already mentioned, I was like, I don't think they really did a good job addressing the issues that minorities face. And then particularly with Black American veterans too, their unique issues. That article just made me laugh. It's obviously you're bad because you're racist.
Triggered, right?
Right.
Yeah, he was super.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to. No, I was just gonna say I didn't get a chance to read that article, but it sounds like a pretty awful article.
Yeah, he was super upset that
Yeah, he was just oh, okay, come on, do we really need to bring up race here? Do we need to talk about it here again? Is it really relevant here? And was yeah, it's America.
Yeah, and it's those people, people are having different experiences based on the race, and to deny that is just ridiculous.
Yeah.
But he had a lot of issues with the way that the new Captain America, John Walker, was portrayed. And it really, especially when he gets his ass beat basically by the Wakandan super secret service or whatever. Yeah. And it just reminded me about kind of there's moments in the series, and there's been moments since the beginning of the series, of John Walker just really demonstrating this male fragility behavior, and that he doesn't even, he ends up with one vial of the serum by the end of episode 4, spoiler. And he doesn't take it until he gets his butt kicked. He contemplates it, but he doesn't go through with it until he actually gets beat up by 3 ladies.
That really sounds like it's the testosterone booster steroid argument you see in sports, and it comes back to an end justify the means thing. And you see it in sports and athletes and movies about athletes, and that it ties into also a whole drug use thing of the handicap. I feel like there's a lot there to discuss about the male fragility and the use of sport enhancement drugs or like physical enhancement drugs and things like that. As in response to the weakness of individuals. I don't know, I'm having trouble formulating that into a thought as I'm trying to drive a rocket-powered micro machine currently.
Yeah, I see how hard it is.
I don't know. You're getting some pretty good saves, which I'm finding very annoying. So I'm like, no, what?
I think
Do you
what's
guys ever
interesting
watch?
about that.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. I was gonna say, I
No,
think
no.
what's interesting about the scene is because, when he gets his ass kicked, he says, and they weren't even super soldiers. So it wasn't even like he was trying to like take the serum so that he could compete against other super soldiers. It was just that like he got his ass kicked by a bunch of ladies, which hurt his ego. And then like I don't know, like I don't want to like add spoilers too soon, but then then his like emotions get the best of him, kind of, right?
Yeah, for sure. Well, and the fact too that he's warned by at least Bucky. I don't remember. I'm sure that Sam warned him too. Like, hey, don't mess with them. They're gonna beat the crap out of you, And he
Yeah.
doesn't believe him.
I now need to see this episode just so I can watch the replacement Cap, who triggers me in so many ways regarding military service and officer, like the way officers operate and American militarism. He really is, like, John Walker is a great stand-in for the truth about American military in certain ways. Like the viciousness and pettiness of it. Like, I now need to watch this episode just so I can see him get his ass beat by the Wakandans. because it's absolutely deserving, and if anything, maybe a tiny bit just like maybe there's a little bit of sublimation there. Am I using the right word, Unicorn?
Sublimation.
Sublimation. Maybe there's a little bit of sublimation, or like there. It might be a little bit of a powerful moment if you think about the image of John Walker as a personification, a single personification of one very minute aspect of everything that's wrong with the U.S. military. And watching a bunch of black, strong, powerful, femme-identified people, or women-identified people, or women just beat the ever-loving shit out of them. There is something good in that from Disney, or at least attempted to from the writers. It doesn't nearly encapsulate or make up for all the other opportunities that they had to make a stand or vocally reject the racist tendencies of America or bring light to the injustices. It doesn't do a good enough job, but it is something in the right way.
They can't directly outright like oppose America, right? Because they get a lot of funding from like the DoD, like other things. So they're just like kind of playing around with it, right?
Yeah.
Metagamegate has a
But I think
good
you're
point
right.
in
I
the
think
chat.
that John Walker. Oh yeah, go ahead.
Oh, they say John Walker's a cop, arrogance, authority, power tripping punk. And in the beginning of episode 3, that comes out when he's talking to that German civilian they're looking for, the flag smashers, and he's like, "Don't you know who I am?" And then the guy eventually is like, "Yeah, but I don't give a shit," But the fact that he gets so angry that this dude isn't complying with him, and uses his, I don't know, his persona, his authority, whatever, to try to just coerce him into talking. It's perfect.
Yeah, and that scene, to me, that scene actually, even though it was taking place in Germany, it kind of made me think that it was a little bit of commentary on like policing in America, because it was a no-knock raid, and the Walker was acting towards that German guy the same way that you know, I've heard some people, like I went through a law enforcement academy back in the day, and hearing people saying that, oh, someone spits on you, that's assault. And so he reacted with that mindset, oh, you spit on me, that's assault. Now I get to actually hit you.
The audacity to disrespect American authority is
Yeah.
the same in the military as it is. We see it more in American police here, United States policing. Um, Absolutely, it is something that you still hear in headquarters shops or in among the rank and file of the military um, at certain points, or at least you did when I was in. So I it's one and the same. The disrespect to the American authority is definitely an absolute cop thing, but it's military members at like in certain roles aren't very different from police, especially when they're not in combat, but they're still pulling patrols through neighborhoods or small villages, right? They go on 6 months without firing a round or receiving rounds, but they're still in a combat zone, still patrolling neighborhoods and doing these things, and do take insult at kids taking pens from them and things like that, and mistakes get made because of that disrespect, that response to disrespect, and the audacity to do that.
Yeah, and I remember early in my Marine Corps career, I was still in training. I was hearing from some of my instructors. I forget who it was. Someone that I was in training with they, not meaning any kind of disrespect. He was, one of the instructors was talking to him, and he was standing there with his arms crossed on his chest, this kid. And that got everybody, um, you know, an explanation of how that's a sign of a sign of aggression and disrespect. And yeah, it was a bad move on the kid's part, like that early. It was, right after we had gotten out of, um, right after we had gotten out of Paris Island, and we were doing MCT, but, uh, you know, it's just a sign of what you were saying, Sin, that like any little thing could be seen by people, members of the military or the police. Any little thing that they choose could be seen as a sign of disrespect and something that, they can react to in whatever they think is the appropriate way.
And it's funny that you say disrespect and aggression, because it's like they don't have to both be present, like someone can be disrespectful and not be aggressive. And there's no need to like react to disrespect with violence if there's no aggression, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
But the fact that they are treated the same, like, oh, if you're disrespecting me, then I have the right to use violence against you for some reason in policing.
The military, you see it a lot in the military, and then if you watch interactions with police officers that have randomly profiled teenagers on a corner, or that police see as being younger or anything like that, or minority really in general, you see a lot of conversation about hands in pockets when being spoken to. So like, I'm just using this as one example of many reasons, but like, if I have my hands in pocket while a cop is talking to me, it is up to that police officer to find that as disrespectful, and for me, and to escalate from that, because it's unsafe for them, because I could be harboring a weapon. and there's so many ways that the disrespect to the masculinity of these authority figures is received or perceived by them, and their response, because they are figures of state violence, is to perceive disrespect as a threat. And it absolutely has to do with the masculinity, the machismo factor that's in the military that makes, like, it's just sexism. It comes to sexism and the patriarchy and all that. There's tie-ins there as to where that's coming from. But hands in pockets when it's cold is a sign of disrespect in the military. And don't forget that, because by the time you're in of rank that can change that policy, you are part of cult of man as well. That must be tough and not hide your hands in pockets because of it being cold. You know, otherwise you've gotten out because you were constantly disrespectful, and like you had page 11. Bad conduct discharge or things like that occur to you because you didn't fit into that mold of respecting authority.
Yeah, and John Walker, he just embodies all of that. It's so infuriating.
That's why I really want to watch him get his ass beat.
Well, it sounds like. Go ahead, Yo-Yo.
Sorry, I didn't realize you were juggling. Unicorn,
no,
you
you're
muted
good.
yourself again if you were talking.
Can you hear
I
me?
was gonna say,
Yes.
yeah, I think that's what you wanted to talk about, Yo-Yo, right? Is like this emotional reaction that he has.
Oh, I was gonna just say that, like, what Winston was talking about, all of that disrespect stuff in the military. It's funny because, like, in the Avengers, like, Avengers get to do whatever the heck they want. Like, there's no, like, respect for, like, the authority of anybody. Like, they just do whatever they want, right?
Yeah, I mean
Yeah.
that's the whole Civil War movie premise, is that someone wants to put some rules on them, and then half of them are freaking out, and half of them are like, oh, that's reasonable.
Metagame Gate brings up another point, another example of how John Walker is a cop. He gets Bucky out of the jail and he's buddy with the cops. 100% right. Oh, 2v1? Let's do this.
Oh, are we? Oh no.
Oh no, you've got an AI, Sam.
Okay.
I should have taken the bot. Well, I don't know. Since been blocking all my goals, maybe you should kick the bot.
Welcome to the Thunderdome map. We're here to play.
Oh, no.
I know I haven't
Sorry,
played this one in a long time. No, you're good. All right. I feel like I've been dominating the conversation. Who has something they wanted to really talk about last week and we didn't get to it?
I mean, another thing that I wanted to talk about from last week that we didn't get a chance to get to, and it kind of ties in because I already talked about Medal of Honor. When they introduce the John Walker character, they say, "Oh yeah, he's the only person to get 3 Medals of Honor," and if you're a civilian, if there's someone who, maybe if you're a civilian, but there's someone in your family who served in the military, you might know how ridiculous that is. But if you're a civilian with zero connection to the military, you have no idea how ridiculous that is. Because, I was saying Smedley Butler, he's one of the few people in history to get 2 Medals of Honor. And that's, the most that anyone has gotten. But also in the modern era, for anyone from either the Iraq or Afghanistan wars to survive an incident that they were that they received the Medal of Honor from is incredibly rare. Like most medals of honor in the modern era are posthumous. They died in whatever action it was. So it seemed to me like they were, they were making him the most hyper macho example of American militarism and excellence that they possibly could.
I want to piggyback off that, or just one of the scenes, if I'm remember correctly, in the first or second episode, or the first time you meet him, I think he's meeting Sam Wilson for the first time. There's a statement about what he earned one of those medals for, and it was a comparison to Cap. Cap jumped on a grenade and survived a grenade, and he's a super soldier. And then John Walker goes, "I did it too. I jumped on a grenade and survived. I put my helmet over it and put my body over top of it to save my junior military guy, my junior enlisted's life." Right? And
Yes,
he's lauded,
and it,
which is absolute, like, the devastation of that is, I lost my mind in that scene at that moment, because that is the
Yeah.
height of hero worship and war glorification, to kind of make it sound like this is something that you should attain to do, and if you do this, you can actually survive it. Like, it's not actually going to absolutely destroy you. It's possible to survive this as a normal human.
Well, then I think they like they use it as like a plot drive, like to drive the plot, right? Because later in 3 or 4, they use it to talk about Walker's trauma and PTSD. So he mentions things like, "Oh yeah, 3 medals of honors to remind me of the worst day of my life," and I think it's supposed to help us have some sympathy for what happens next, right? Like we get to see oh, trauma made me do it, right?
yeah. Yeah, and that's an actual, that's something that I've heard Medal of Honor recipients say. It's not just something that they wrote. That's an actual sentiment.
Right.
And I don't know. To me, putting it on this, giving him that sentiment. I mean, although it is true and very understandable and relatable, like to have Walker say that, I don't know. It doesn't give me any pity for him. Maybe
he's a pretty
maybe just because
unlikable
he's just a
character.
fictional character, but
Yeah.
yeah.
I still don't know how that one article author could find him to be the good guy or the more interesting character, I guess. I don't know.
If you're calling him the more interesting character, I think you're fash sympathetic. That's my
Yeah.
general takeaway from reading that author. If I was to read his stuff, you're fash sympathetic if you think John Walker is a heroic character in just about any way in this series.
Yeah.
Was that the same article with the guy who thought there was too much race stuff
Yes.
happening? Okay, yeah, definitely fash.
Yeah. Yeah. Either that, even if they're not recognizing that or saying that aloud, it's definitely some subconscious, oh, I see myself in this character and I'm not a bad person, so how could this character be a bad person kind of stuff,
Mm-hmm.
You guys have butts kicked, Medley.
Yeah, I know.
Oh,
Stay in the net.
Sorry, go ahead.
I just it just makes me pretty pissed the way they well, I mean, this is basically any superhero movie, right? There's some trauma that leads to these people doing these horrible things. And with Walker, I feel like it's sort of used to help us, be a little bit sympathetic towards him and his plight. He's okay, sorry, Sin. You didn't see the episode, but it happens. So Yeah, so he's like, three medals of honor to remember the worst day of my life, and he, hints at it a few times, like this like trauma he has, and watching his buddies die, and then here in episode 4, Lamar gets taken by the flag smashers, and he ends up dying. So like this is like one of the like emotional points that like sort of lead Walker down this like path to like take the serum after then he gets his ass beat by the ladies, and then his buddy dies, and then like he's just like rage and trauma, and like it sort of does like I think a disservice to the people who I don't know, you guys are veterans, like who have experienced trauma and don't go kill people because of it, right?
Right. And I just remembered something that I wanted to mention was when, not too long before that scene where Lamar gets killed, when Walker and Lamar are sitting down and he's kind of trying to um, gauge Lamar and see what he thinks about him. He asks him, would you take the serum? What do you think about it? Blah blah blah. And Lamar is like, oh well, I think it just makes you more of who you are. And then we know what happens. He goes apeshit and beats someone to death that was defenseless. Um, so I think that
Yeah,
was,
I love that line. Power makes
yeah,
you more of who you are, right?
yeah.
Metagame, can you expound upon that Haditha massacre comment? I'd like to know what you mean by that. I do like that idea that that sentence. Power makes you more who you are. That is a good sentence.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh,
Oh,
that
my
was
fault.
a I totally missed that easy block. Oh no, that's me.
And there was another thing that I wanted to talk about from, I think it was the third episode.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't know if you guys remember, there was towards the end, there was the scene where Carly is sitting there with one of the other flag smashers, Dovich, and she says, did you ever think, what was it? Did you ever think you'd end up here doing this? And he says it jokingly. He's like, oh no, I actually he says he was kind of scraping and scratching to trying to find any way out of where the situation he was in. And he says, I even thought of going into the military. And I don't know. I think that's, but then he also says, oh, but it turns out doing security in Madripoor paid better. And I think that's a nice little subtle kind of commentary on, the poverty draft. The fact that a lot of people join the military to get out of whatever their current situation is because they're looking at their life and they're saying, there's no way I'm going to be able to go to college, and there's no decent jobs for me around. If they're living in a rural place, maybe there's no decent jobs around. If they're in the city, maybe the only jobs are like McDonald's or Burger King or something, um, without getting a college education.
Yeah, I think I related to that too. I would say like about 5 years ago, I like seriously considered joining the military because of, you know, financial reasons. I had a master's degree, but I was like really in a shitty situation, and I was to a recruiter. I was going to go in, as an officer in mental health because that's what my degree was in. And of course, I had some asshole recruiter who probably was misogynistic, but like told me I couldn't join because I had I have a tattoo on my neck, and I know there's like waivers and stuff, but like and I didn't try very hard after that, but like yeah, I considered it, and I had a master's degree, so like I was like let's join the military. That seems like a good plan. I'm really glad I didn't, but
Yeah.
We're really
Yeah,
glad
and I
you didn't
mean,
need to.
I mean, to be honest, that was part of my thinking when I enlisted. Like I had my bachelor's. Um, damn it, I missed.
That
I
was a
had
good
my bachelor's, but at the time I was kind of, trying to find my way, I guess. And I was going around between different jobs, not staying anywhere for more than a couple of years. And I just didn't see any way to change my situation other than, trying to go back for my master's and maybe go into teaching, which at that point, I had decided was something that was not really for me. Um, I worked at a grocery store. I worked at a couple of restaurants, and at the time that I enlisted, I was driving a cab, and it was just you know outside of Philly, and just didn't feel like there was any other way. I was barely scraping by.
the economic draft is real.
Yeah,
Thanks for sharing your story, Smedley.
yeah.
Well, I think you can see a lot of that in Falcon and Winter Soldier with the freedom fighters, flag smashers, whatever anyone wants to call them. It's like, if they weren't able to get this serum and start trying to get supplies for the people who were displaced, would they have ended up joining what's it called, the Global Repatriation Council? Is that the R? I can't remember all of a sudden.
I think so. Yeah.
Just like that one character talking about security and enlisting. Oh my goodness.
Ooh, I'll take that.
I know,
save.
right? I'm like, oh, yeah.
I have no clue how I got credit with a save there.
The economic draft stuff is like kind of talked about a little bit, I think, in one of the first episodes where Sam is coming back to see his sister, and she's like, "You don't get it. Like you ran away and joined the military. Like I had to stay back and take care of all of this shit, right? Like so like there's like that part of it too, where some people can sort of run away, air quotes, can kind of sort of escape or get out of their situation using the military, but a lot of people can't. And Sarah's like kind of like pretty mad at Sam, kind of like leaving her stuck with all of the crap that he kind of got to leave behind.
Yeah, and
Especially when he just busts in and is like, "Oh, I know what to do." And she's like, "Man, you haven't been here."
Right.
Yeah, and I think that that's something that is real and is not really ever talked about. This kind of undercurrent of, like, for some people at least, this mild resentment a little bit. We want to, our culture wants to always make it seem like everything is roses on the home front and everybody, the quote unquote home front, and everybody supports the military 100% and they're really proud of everything that everybody's doing. But, I think that some, there's definitely like a disconnect there, I think.
Yeah, I think that comes up like a lot throughout history when it comes to like, people going to war and then like the people who are like sort of behind, like, at home, like, making, the uniforms or like keeping the home or, taking the jobs that the military, men left, right? So like women had to take up a lot of jobs because of men being in the war. And so there's not as much like glory in that, right? And I think Sarah brings that up. Like nobody cares about what we had to do while everybody else was gone and like, the fight we had to do. And I've seen that in sort of like my own like family history. Like there's a a lot of all of the men in my mom's family got to were able to kind of leave and escape a very abusive, poor family by going to the military. But all of the women didn't, and they were just stuck behind, like dealing with the abuses um, that were there. So, and like that, like there's no like glory in like staying home and continuing to be abused, but there's a lot of glory in going to war, right?
Yeah.
Uh, I'm gonna,
Hmm.
I'm gonna.
Oh, Metagame Gate has an explanation. Oh, you're gonna go ahead.
No, no, go ahead. I was trying to figure out how to
Oh,
go off of what Unicorn was saying because I feel like it's important to talk about the glorification of the military and like how the show that we're discussing glorifies John Walker with the whole three, tying back to 3 medals of honor and chest candy being like the glory of chest candy being the determining factor of um, what is like good military, you know. But also what Metagame Gate said is really important. So take it away, one of you guys that are professionals in this. I'm just your tech guy and driving a
well, you are
brightly powered
definitely the
micro machine.
professional.
I am in no way,
um,
shape, or form.
Probably have like 80 hours of streaming at least by now, huh?
It's supporting all of you wonderful people in the community that are doing great work and just making all this possible.
Um, so just a quick backtrack to um, Hidatha. Is that how you pronounce it?
Haditha.
Haditha.
Haditha, the Haditha massacre, November 19th, 2005, where a group of United States Marines killed 24 unarmed Iraq civilians, including men, women, elderly people, and children as young as 1. And they were shot multiple times at close range while unarmed. And apparently, this was in response to an IED attack that had killed Lance Corporal Miguel Terrazas. Is that how you pronounce his name? But kind of going back, raises. Okay. Going back to that emotional reaction, right? And also probably, hey, we're Americans and we're American Marines. Like, don't you know who we are? How dare you? Kind of thing that, Walker definitely showcases in the show. And with his, basically, he brutally murders that a flag smasher in public in broad daylight after his friend is killed.
Hmm.
There's a lot of issues with the military and the Marine Corps glorifying violence, just wanton violence. Like Lance Corporal's having videos, like this is stuff that's made it in the news and has reflected on directly on the behavior of young military members, like throwing wild dogs off sides of like cliff faces or high hilltops
Mhm.
in
What?
Afghanistan and Iraq, using camels, using I am blanking on the name
can't
of
listen
the nomadic tribe that travels through Helmand Province. There's a nomadic Pashtun tribe that it travels. It follows like an agricultural circuit, and it's a very like tribal tradition, the way they travel. But like, there's incidences of military members like BZOing or like gearing in, lining up their sights, making their weapons more accurate on their camels and livestock. And like, this kind of stuff happens all the time in the military, and those same individuals, if they aren't caught or aren't dumb enough to make videos of themselves doing this and let them go viral within the military's own like social network of the social media, right? Like, if that stuff doesn't happen, these same people become John Walker, because those same people are the one, or can be the ones that save your life. And are you going to, like, the common guy has the moral conundrum of, this guy is somebody that just saved my life last week potentially, and if I'm not understanding the gravity of the war that I'm fighting and the immorality of it, I might like justify having John Walker as my leader, if everything in the world is trying to kill me, like, because that's kind of the outset of our military and our police, is that everything is a threat, and so on. So, like, that stuff exists in the military, and power does bring out that more in people, like
Yeah.
quote from the show.
Yeah, and what you were saying about, if they're not stupid enough, if people aren't stupid enough to videotape themselves and post it on social media and everything, there was actually an incident back in 2010 or 11, I forget, but it was right around there. I don't know if you remember, there was an incident where Marine Corps snipers, like Sniper Squad, had gotten in trouble because I think they took pictures of themselves doing it. I don't think it was a video, but whatever it was, however they got found out, they were in Afghanistan and they had killed some insurgents, and they urinated on them because a couple of their buddies had gotten killed. And that was actually my old unit. That was the deployment after I got out. Yeah. And I was in the reserves at the time, and we got, I'm sure you already know, Sin, we got to talk.
Yep.
We got to talk about, obeying the law and how it was wrong, and they showed us a video of, it was like a documentary about My Lai, and there were some people that I feel actually took it to heart, and there were some people that were like, why do we have to sit through this?
It's the same kind of briefing that you would get for like a sexual harassment briefing that nobody pays attention to. That's death by PowerPoint, and it's a checkbox to placate, to placate the acknowledgement that something fucked up happened, as a result of illegal offensive wars around the world.
Yeah.
And that shit sucks because it's not even a half measure. It's not a measure at all. And like, I don't know.
We
It's
wag our finger at you.
we
Wagging
yeah.
my finger.
Well, and also too, it's like, okay, the next time happens, they can say, well, they got the training, so it's not. Oh crap, they're gonna score this goal. Oh no. um,
Yeah. Yeah.
Have a nice night, metagame.
They're gonna say, "Oh well, we showed them the video. What more do you want? We tried to tell
or
them wrong from right. We showed them the video."
yeah, or it's like, oh, well, that's just one bad apple, and they didn't follow the training, so it's not the whole military. It's just that one.
Hmm.
I can't believe we lost that one. I'm kind of disappointed.
It's all right.
we were up so good. I was like, what? Should we play one more and
Yeah, I'm
then
down for
call
one
it?
more. Sounds good to me.
Okay. I think it's interesting because yeah, Walker is supposed to be like, this idol or whatever, but it's more towards the end of the series for sure. Sam really becomes put on a pedestal. Um, you know, he's very, I don't know, he's very saintly, kind of like Steve Rogers was, and they talk a lot about, well, and he talks about it too, like his work with veterans and trying to help them overcome their trauma and stuff, which is great. But the way it's done in the show, I feel like it's very much he gets put on this pedestal, which I guess if you're gonna be Captain America in the like, fictional sense, you kind of have to be, I guess, to like be that character. I don't know if that makes sense, or if anyone else felt that way about how Sam was portrayed.
I think that's yeah, you're right. Like it's kind of the point of Captain America, right? And a lot of the Avengers sort of like this like pedestal kind of thing. One thing I thought was interesting that I think might have been in the IGN article, but it may have been in one of the other articles that talked about race was this sort of like Isaiah brings it up in like the first episode or maybe like later on, like, oh, you think they were gonna let a black man be Captain America, and they don't really like they say that, but they don't really like talk about that relationship because enough. And when we think about like black soldiers in America now and how they're perceived or not perceived,
Oh, did we lose you?
I think we lost her for a second.
oh, can you still hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, so the origination of Falcon, the character, like came during civil rights movement and was like the Falcon was supposed to be right this like raising up of like a black superhero in the comics during that time. And then like it sort of like seems like the Falcon is like whitewashed in this series quite a lot, and like his origin story is sort of like forgotten, and like I just don't think that they do. And the IGN article explains it a lot better than I ever could. But it's sort of interesting that they like toy with the idea of like what it means to have a black Captain America, but they don't really like talk about what the struggle would be like for like a black person to kind of take up that mantle given the history of America's treatment of black people, right?
Right. And
Yeah, like
one of the
oh, go ahead.
no, I was just going to say like one of the things that that they obviously don't go into in the series is just the fact of since race is a big factor in all of this. When when Captain America first came out, I was having a conversation with some friends of mine a couple of weeks ago about, why they chose to portray Captain America the way they did. And, we're talking now about, oh, they would never allow there to be a black Captain America. Um, the thing that struck me was that when Captain America first came out, we were still, there was still Jim Crow. Um,
Mm.
so it was kind of an obvious choice for this, you know, very white, um, you know, blonde-haired, blue-eyed kind of guy to be Captain America. There was no, there would have been no thought about making him anything else back then.
Mm-hmm.
And oh, I just wanted to mention because in my reading today, I discovered that there's like a limited series about Isaiah Bradley as Captain America that was released in 2003. So I'm gonna go and read them or try to find them and read them. But it was called Truth, Red, White, and Black, and it's set like a short 7 comic series about Isaiah Bradley as Captain America, which I think
That was me scoring on us, by the way. 100% me.
I was like, oh, dang it. All right. We lost Yo-Yo again. It's like they. Who said it? No, I don't know. Probably somebody. Probably all of us have said it, but I don't remember exactly. But someone said, that they're like dropping these little hints in the series, but they're not coming right out and talking about why it would be so shocking or problematic or whatever word you want to use. And Sarah says something similar to that effect too, where she's talking to Carly on the phone, and she says something like, "Why do I care about Captain America? Like nobody in America cares about my experience," or something
Right.
similar to that. And it's just like a little gum wrapper hint, right? But it's like they're trying to be woke, but they don't want to be too woke because that will scare away their conservative
Yeah. Yeah, that line stuck out to me.
subscribers.
That line
Yeah,
stuck out to me too.
and it's like
Especially especially given what we know of Sarah's history from the first couple of episodes about how hard she's struggling to keep things together.
mm-hmm.
I I think part of the reason that we keep picking up on this, they touch it in with felt tip tweezers at the end of a 80-foot pole. Is the same reason that I took issue with, I think one of you just said it, how they portrayed Sam and put him on a pedestal with his work with veterans. And I wanted to yell right then because he can't do work as Captain America with veterans to address the moral injury of PTSD and what we do in combat and everything without addressing and actually siding with the flag smashers. And like he can't do like help heal veterans if he's not acknowledging the systemic issues that are affecting his family and the reason these veterans are going into service and the reason for these wars and the reason that they're doing these illegal operations. Like if he stops at this the moment they come to the evidence or the moment they are forced to question what they are doing for the sake of America, they go, oh, that's it, it's America, it's the way it is, or like America may not have it right, but it's the best thing we got. So like it's an immediate forgetting of their own participation or his own place inside the demographics that are fucked up the most from the Avengers being a thing, from the military doing what it's doing, and the participation in illegal offensive wars and sending economically downtrodden and drafted individuals to fight for colonialism and imperialism for the sake of a bottom line. Like, it angers me to think that this character that is in the modern era, in this day and time, is a great character to do some sort of communal healing of the nation, who is at the intersection of so many things and could address the militarization, race issues, the inequalities of like the devastation of war, climate change due to military. Like, this character, Falcon and Winter Soldier, are two characters that are perfectly positioned to be at the forefront of that conversation in pop culture. And they shit all over the opportunity because they're part of the system that benefits. Like, because Disney owns them, because there's a bottom line involved, and they're not allowed to attack capitalism and the economic model of Americans' imperialism.
Yeah.
And it
Yeah.
fucking sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's sort of like what MCU does all together in all of their things. It's like, oh, here's this, big issue like racism or slavery or some other social injustice, and we're just going to use the Avengers or our superheroes to find a way to just save the status quo without actually finding a solution to the big problem we're presenting.
Sorry, I was making a play. I couldn't follow up on you, but if anybody else wants to follow up on Unicorn, please do.
Fortress,
Like,
Fortress on a Hill.
Like in the.
Go ahead.
Oh yeah, go ahead. Read the chat. I can't see it.
Oh. I was gonna say Fortress on a. Oops, sorry, Sam. Fortress on a Hill kind of compares Walker to Batman, which Batman was always my favorite growing up. He's my favorite. But it's true, it's like, oh, in the comics it's a big deal that Batman doesn't kill people, he doesn't use guns. But like, come on. He definitely killed people by accident. I mean, there's story arcs obviously, but there's no way that you can't beat the crap out of someone and not have them die later, even from like injuries. So, same thing with Captain America, even Steve Rogers. I mean, Steve Rogers obviously killed a ton of people. He was in the military and he was a super soldier. So kind of like this putting people on a pedestal thing, especially if it's not captured on camera or like nobody's going to talk about it. But Batman and Cap have that in common.
I'm gonna make sure we win this. Like, we can't go out on a loss tonight. By the way, the stream's
We
been
won
too
the last
bad.
one.
Did we?
Yeah,
win
we
the
won the
last
last one.
Oh.
Yeah, but still, we need to win this one too.
Yeah, to make up for that other one, because that was
Oh
embarrassing.
no!
What's
Yeah.
the score?
Oops. 3-0 right
3-0.
Nice.
Sorry, what were you gonna say, Yo-Yo, before I busted in?
Oh,
The
I
chat.
think I was just gonna kind of tie what I was saying back into the Falcon and Winter Soldier because, right, like there's this big issue happening where people are without resources, without medicine, without food and housing, and like Sam and Bucky and like America or whatever are just coming in to try to like stop the terrorists, but never actually present some like resolution to how do we solve this problem so that other people don't don't become aggressive because we haven't given them medicine or food, right? Like there's no, like all of the MCU things kind of stop short of like how to solve the problem, right?
Yeah.
They,
And I wonder, like, how much of it is like actual hoarding of supplies, and how much of it was just terrible bureaucracy. Either one is bad and immoral, really. But like, when Carly blows up that supply warehouse, I think that's what it is. And she says that they've been sitting on the supplies for 6 months. It's like, I wonder how much of that is just inefficiency, which is also inexcusable.
So
Right. And oh, go ahead, Sam.
no, go ahead. You go.
Well, I forget if we mentioned this part before, but as she's doing that, she makes a comment to the effect of, violence is the only language that these people understand. And later in episode 4, I forget who she's talking to. I think it's when she's talking to Sarah. Um, you know, yeah, it's when she's talking to Sarah on the phone. She's like, "Hey, this is Carly Morgenthau. Do you know who I am?" And Sarah calls her a terrorist, and she says, "Revolutionaries, depending on whose side you're on." And it's really true. You know, it all depends on who, what the media thinks of what you're doing. That's how the majority of Americans are going to see you. Are you a revolutionary or are you a terrorist? And I think we see that a lot, or saw it a lot recently with Israel and Palestine. There was a lot of talk in the media, especially about, oh, well, doesn't Israel have a right to defend themselves? Yeah, theoretically, everyone has a right to defend themselves, but the thing is, they're defending themselves against rocks. The occasional rockets, but most of
Right.
it is just kids throwing rocks.
They're defending themselves against rockets, which are the only form of riot or protest left to an oppressed people held in an apartheid open-air prison. Like,
Yeah.
I I don't condone violence. I have a position of nonviolence personally, but if my only recourse left in for nightly police raids, missiles and bombs being rained down upon me, and my community defense, my duly elected my duly elected government from the last election I could have possibly held, that's doing the only infrastructure work in community defense and actually helping, if that's their response, like that seems like people that were in concentration camps protesting against their jailers to me, more so than anything else. That's how I hear that personally.
Yeah.
I mean, I fight. I'm here to fight fascism and identify it when I see fascism, and I see open air prisons and an in the name of an ethno state as fascism slash terrorism slash state violence against the civilian population and war crimes.
Yeah.
Sorry to
Yeah.
soapbox there of that.
And actually, if I can go off for a second on my history nerdism, I just had a thought. There's a parallel between Gaza and the Jewish people in Warsaw in World War II. I forget when it was. It was towards the end of the war, I think. But there was an actual uprising in the Warsaw Ghetto by the Jewish population. There was an actual armed uprising against the Nazis. And, I mean, the parallels there are, I mean, yeah, it's not perfect, but I think there's a lot of room for comparison there, personally.
I don't disagree with you. Fortress on a Hill brings up 2 points. I'm going to read them real quick. Are we going into another game? Did we just push on another game?
I did because it sounded like
Okay.
I still had a little bit to say. Well, How about after this one?
No,
We'll call it.
it's absolutely fine. I just heard the countdown and I put my controller down, so I picked it back up. I'm good to do this. I just want to read what Fortress on a Hill said real quick. The Avengers is a cultural example of our glorification of the victors. They, along with SEAL Team 6, etc. They are the manufactured best of the best, no different than winning the Super Bowl. What if the people of Sokovia rejected Avengers' help? Ultron arrives and starts killing people, then the Avengers arrive and are told that Sokovia would rather die than accept the help of warmongers such as them.
I love the comparison of the Avengers to like SEAL Team and stuff like that. Yeah.
So I'm a comic book nerd, kinda, sort of. Like I read them occasionally, and I have a collection of backlog comics that I'm trying to work my way through, including the current Avengers. And they actually just did and Marvel just did a story arc over last summer, fall, that got all jacked up because of the pandemic, but it had to do with interstellar war and whatnot. And you see you see a lot of the issues that come up with these glorified military units that get to make worldwide drastic decisions. And I mean, the Sokovia, I was not on the side of like the Sokovia Accords until becoming a VFP member. Fortress on a Hill, we have too much in common, and you need to come on show sometime.
Yeah, for sure.
Fortress on a Hill, do you play games? Which one of our shows do you want to catch up on? First person shooters, Rocket League, community game night? When are you coming on? Seeing if
I think I'm definitely getting to my limit of talking and streaming on this game because I'm like, oh my gosh, miss. I've missed like 4 easy goals. Make that 5 easy goals.
This is interesting playing this, going from like week in, week out doing first person shooters and talking like this versus playing this game with the control. Oddly different.
Did you win
Which
the
one's
last
easier?
Yeah.
Yes, we did.
Nice.
Is this
Nice.
easier or is first person shooter easier?
I think this is easier. Well, for me, I think because the action
Well,
is
whatever.
constant.
Okay, I'm sorry. You're just so good.
No, it's not. It has nothing to do with being constant. It has to do, or me being good. It has to do with it's just constant action. So I can go on. My hands are on autopilot, and I just hold down the gas and drive towards the ball. So that's my general strategy. And in like first-person shooters, I have to be aware of like a map. Like there's map awareness in like a whole different level of it. And think like the flow of combat or the flow of the game changes. Whereas the flow of this is once the ball's in play, I know my objective. My objective from moment to moment doesn't really change.
Until you forget which color you are.
Until you forget what color you are. Yep.
Or you forget what side of the field you're on. No! Oh, good. That was lucky for us. Oh, looks like you have another first-person shooter team member. Fortress on a Hill.
Nice.
Fortress on a Hill. You're in our Discord, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I've seen them in there.
We'll talk in the Discord channel, FPS Team Discord channel, and organize getting some gameplay time in together.
Get in there, please. Nope, didn't work.
This has been a
For the rest of our audience. For the rest of our audience, I want to plug Fortress on the Hill's podcast. It's a great podcast. Other veterans, part of the anti-war community that discusses various topics. I have not caught up on the full catalog, but I'm working my way there.
Yeah, I agree with you. It is a really good podcast. I haven't listened to the latest episode, but I've listened, and I only started listening probably since November. But I've listened to, I think, all of them except the most recent one since November, and it's really good. Yeah.
Sin, what's the podcast? I can't see the chat.
It's a Fortress on a Hill.
Oh, that's the name of the podcast?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, okay, cool.
Fortress on a Hill. Can you do us a favor and drop a link in chat? I can't alt tab while playing and hosting the game to do it. Gotta save that for posterity. Sweet, it's just fortressonahill.com. Go check it out. To our wonderful audience, whether you're catching this live or catching this on demand from our extensive catalog of wonderful shows, you should check out Fortress on a Hill. Just saying. And on that note, you should also check out our Discord and become part of the community. Link down below. I'm turning over hosting duties back to you, Little Pistons. I'm done talking
Okay.
and chilling. I'm done talking.
Well, we've got 3 seconds left. Any last ideas on episodes 3 and 4?
I have a million of them, but they could wait. I just have so much to say about it. It's so interesting.
I
Yeah.
know we didn't even get to a lot of stuff I had written down, so it's a dense show. I mean, you figure it's 6 hours about, right? Well, a little less, but it's a lot of stuff to dissect.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
I want to say, as your guest this week, you guys are doing an amazing job dissecting it, covering it, and discussing these topics. So I want to applaud you and give out gold stars for the effort you guys do.
excellent. Thank you.
Thank
And
you.
thank you for being our third this week.
Yeah, thanks for filling in for me on
Of
game.
Yeah. And always helping out with the tech.
Ah,
Yes, thank you.
not a problem. That's what I'm here for.
So I guess that's the end of our stream practice this week. Thanks for tuning in. And again, the Discord link, if you're not on there, it's in the chat. Is it in the chat yet or not yet?
It's not
put it
in
in
the
there.
chat.
I will put it in there right now.
Thank you. And while you're putting that in, I also want to say, if for anybody that is out there that likes what we're doing and wants to help support it, you can like, follow, subscribe here on our Twitch channel. You can also go to veteransforpeace.org and become a VFP member. If you're interested in that, have questions, want to know what it entails or anything, you can shoot me a message in Discord that Little Pistons just put into chat. We really appreciate the community that's being formed and building, and want you to be part of it. So join us. And now
One of us. One of us.
One of us.
Yeah, lots of opportunities to get involved, whether you want to play, stream, chat, all kinds of stuff. So hopefully we'll see you all on Discord or on one of the teams, and hopefully again next week at
Can you do me-
8:15 p.m. Eastern. Can I do you a solid? What is it?
Can you do me a solid and chill, or just vamp, or just occupy airtime for 2 minutes, please?
Like talk, you mean?
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
play a game, or
Talk for like 2 minutes for me.
You could maybe go over the schedule for the rest of the week.
oh, okay. Let me see if I can remember everything.
Tomorrow's Deep Thought Galactic. Or
Yeah,
is
I'm
it
just-
DC this week? Yeah, it's
I
Deep
think
Thought
it's-
Galactic. Yeah.
Yeah.
they're
Then
gonna
Thursday.
Sorry.
What's on Thursday? Oh, it's okay. Do you know what's on Thursday?
I
There's
think this week we're off on Thursday. We're off this week. Last week was Dilemma Circle, and this week I think there was a show in the works in, but I don't think it's up yet.
that
So
is
no.
correct.
And then Friday, we got FPS Friday.
And we have military ad slam right before that, right?
Yeah.
Correct.
Yes.
And that's at 7 p.m. Eastern for military ad slam, 8 p.m. Eastern for first person shooter Fridays. Then Sunday community game night. I don't know what we're playing this week. And that's at 8 p.m. Eastern.
I don't know,
Does
but you
anyone
should
know?
definitely get in because it's our last community game night of the month. And so you get your entries for the monthly giveaway. And then the following week, we'll be announcing winners for the giveaway. And you get to win really cool GFP stuff like stickers and t shirts and mugs and stuff. I've seen people posting in the Discord. I saw your post, Pistons. Awesome sticker in your car. People can win them if they.
Yeah, doesn't it look good? I was like, oh, that
It looks
looks really
really good.
good. Yeah, I'll have to take a full back car picture because my garage was closed and I wasn't going to open it, but I think it looks pretty sweet. And so what else can people do to win entries into the giveaway?
Unicorn.
Can you hear me? Sorry, I was talking.
I think you muted
Oh.
yourself.
Okay. Yeah, so you can join the Discord, which gets you a bunch of entries up front. You can participate in community game night. You can engage with the Discord server and level up in the server. You can share our social media posts and things like that. All of the rules and how you can get entries are in the Discord. So check it out.
And then that will like reset every month, right? Like each month is a new giveaway.
Yeah, so we're gonna try and do this once a month. This is our inaugural month, so we'll see how it goes. And I think, is it June 6th is the first community game night of the next month, which is where we'll do like, you know, the kind of the spinning and announcing of winners. So, and I'll of course post them in the Discord too in case people aren't watching, but tune in for that.
Alrighty. Well, thank you for talking about that and giving me time to set up the raid into Left Flank Vets. It's another Twitch channel, left-leaning anti-war veterans discussing news of the day. So I'm actually going to raid into them because they're streaming right now. We like to support channels similar to ours. So let me do that and have a nice night, everybody.